Welcome to Throttle Power, where it's all about the throttle. Recently I had a chance to visit the National Corvette Museum and put together this short little walking tour to show you what you'll find inside. As you enter the museum, you're greeted by this 1953 Corvette. It's not any 1953 Corvette. It's actually chassis number 003, and it's a cutaway Corvette. The museum opened in 1994, and it's a 115,000 square foot facility located on 55 acres in Bowling Green, Kentucky. The museum actually sits right next door to the world's only General Motors Corvette assembly plant. The hours of the museum are 8 to 5 Central Time, 7 days a week, and they are only closed on major holidays. Admission is $15 adults, $13 seniors, $10 youth, 4 and under free, and of course National Corvette Museum membership and active military are free. I've always enjoyed this display every time I've come. It talks about the assembly plant next door, shows how the cars are being made, talks about how the cars are being made, and then right next to it, it shows the body being mated onto the chassis. Very cool. And this display shows what a Chevrolet dealership showroom would look like back in the day. Boy, times have changed. I'd just like to walk into one of those showrooms right now. Now we're getting into the area of race cars. Are there any you remember? Let me know down below if you remember any of these running. There's a couple I remember. Now speaking of the Corvette plant next door, I brought that up a minute ago. I wanted to let you know, if you ever get a chance to make it to the museum here, make sure you go next door and take a tour of the GM Corvette plant, watching the cars being built. It's the most memorable, neatest, coolest tour you will ever take in your life, watching a new car being built. I think you'll walk away with a new appreciation of cars on the road and what the workers actually go through and do to put a car together. It's very fascinating to watch. There's something you don't see too often at any museum: a race car that's left in race trim coming off the track that hasn't been cleaned. As we continue our little tour through the museum, I can tell you that it changes quite often. I go about once a year, and it's always something's different in the museum every time I go. That's why I like to go once a year. Also, to completely be up to date on activities and exhibits, all you have to do is just type in National Corvette Museum on the old World Wide Web, and that'll bring everything up, what's going on, all the activities, and the latest and greatest. I always enjoy seeing these clay modeling bucks in museums, and this is no exception here. These clay modeling bucks are just amazing. To think that guys spend hundreds of hours shaping this clay to come up with a automobile that someone's got to approve and then run dimensions on and actually make. Very cool. Hey, there's one fresh off the assembly line. I'm telling you, you got to get over next door and take that tour. I can't recommend it enough. This part of the museum is the actual working garage area. This is not museum set up. This is actually where they work on the cars. At any given time, they're in there restoring Corvettes, working on them. It's pretty neat if you can catch them in there working on them. You can actually ask the guys questions too, and they'll answer them. This part here is the Development Engineering Center. This is another area where they work on vets. That's the 1979 Corvette that was on the magazine in the background. It was an experimental Corvette. Had an experimental chassis, different interior and stuff for 1980, 81, 82. And then this picture here is really cool. When you walk up to it, you don't really realize that it's thousands of little pictures to make a big picture. Here it is going in reverse. Isn't that fascinating? All those little tiny pictures made that picture. Pretty neat. And then you enter the part of the famous cave-in. Remember when that happened? A lot of people they remember what they were doing and where they were at when they heard the news of this happening. This was worldwide news when this happened. That sinkhole right there. This is an exhibit all about the sinkhole. I didn't film much of this because a lot of it's where you press buttons and watch it on the TV, blah, blah, blah. They got everything set up to where each individual car you can read about what happened to it, what it looked like, where it was in the sinkhole. That's where that display is. Very, very nice display. Those lines there, that's part of the sinkhole. It's on the floor. A lot of neat. You can spend hours in that room reading about all the cars that fell into the sinkhole. This dark part here is a simulated cave-like earthquake sinkhole happening. Too dark to film, so I didn't film it. And then you walk into that building right there that's very prominent from the highway, the Yellow Dome. And inside the Yellow Dome is where the sinkhole happened. There's those lines on the floor. They're showing what the ceiling looks like. And right in front of us are some cars that were in the sinkhole. Some of them they've fixed and repaired. Others they have not. The damage to those cars that fell in the sinkhole was just completely amazing. It's hard to believe that a car would look like that from just falling straight down into the ground. It just, wow. I don't know if the film footage there did it justice or not, but I'm speechless on how they look. As you wrap up your tour, you go through the gift shop, and when you exit the gift shop, you can check out all the brand new Corvettes sitting there waiting for the new owners. That's right, if you purchase a new Corvette, you have the option to pick it up at the Corvette Museum.